When the world talks about Iran, it usually speaks in absolutes. Enemy, threat, crisis. The image is narrow, flat, stripped of context. But countries are not headlines. They are layers. Iran is a place where history is not archived, it's inhabited. Where ruins stand beside apartment blocks. Where poetry is quoted in everyday conversation. Where hospitality survives even under pressure. This is not a film about politics, and it is not an argument. It is a journey. A journey into a land that has learned how to endure misunderstanding. Into cities full of contradictions and warmth. Into landscapes so vast they silence assumptions. Into stories that rarely cross borders. Iran has been conquered, divided, sanctioned, and isolated, yet its culture has never disappeared. Because what defines this country is not power, but continuity. To see Iran clearly requires patience. It requires humility. And sometimes it requires unlearning what you think you know. So we begin here, not to explain Iran to the world, but to listen to it. Beyond the headlines. Beyond the noise. This is Iran, a hidden world still waiting to be seen. Long before borders were drawn, before nations were named, this land already understood power. Not the power of weapons, but the power of ideas. This was Persia, an empire that stretched across continents, not by erasing cultures, but by absorbing them. Kings ruled here who believed order mattered more than fear. That law should protect the weak as much as the strong. That belief, language, and custom could coexist under one sky. Stone inscriptions still whisper those ambitions. Reliefs carved into mountains show processions of many peoples, not as slaves, but as participants in something larger. History in Iran does not feel distant. It stands beside you. Ancient cities rise from desert plains. Columns lie fallen but unforgotten. Fire temples, once sacred, still catch the light of sunset. Every invasion left scars. Every collapse left silence. Yet something endured. Language survived conquest. Poetry survived censorship. Memory survived fire. Empires came and went. Greek, Arab, Mongol, each leaving marks, none erasing the core. Because Iran was never just a state, it was, and remains, a civilization. Here, time stacks rather than replaces. The past is not buried, it's layered. You can feel it walking through ruins warmed by the sun, in the geometry of mosques built on older foundations, in the way stories are told, slowly, carefully, with reverence for what came before. This chapter of the journey teaches one essential truth. Iran has outlived every attempt to define it from the outside. and it will likely outlive many more. As the camera pulls away from stone and history, the land itself begins to speak louder. Because the story of Iran is not only written by people, it is carved by earth. Iran reveals itself first through space, not landmarks, not cities, but distance. This is a country where the land does not guide you gently. It tests your sense of scale. In the heart of Iran, deserts stretch so far they erase direction. The Dashti Kavir glows white beneath the sun, a salt desert where the ground cracks into geometric patterns, sharp and endless. Heat bends the air, sound disappears, movement feels exposed. Further south, the Lut Desert tells a different story. Darker, harsher, almost hostile. Here, wind has carved towering ridges of rock and sand into shapes that look engineered rather than natural. Temperatures rise to levels where survival becomes theoretical. This is one of the hottest places ever recorded on Earth. A reminder that the land does not negotiate. And yet, people lived near these places, traded through them, learned their limits. Move north, and the country shifts again. Mountains rise suddenly, not decorative, but dominant. The Alborz range cuts sharply across the landscape, separating dry interior from lush northern forests. Snow settles on peaks while cities below breathe dust and heat. These mountains are barriers and protectors, isolating regions, shaping weather, forcing patience. Beyond them, everything softens. The air thickens with moisture. Forests press close. Leaves drip after rain. Along the Caspian coast, Iran turns green. Unexpectedly, almost defiantly. Rice fields stretch out beside villages. Wooden houses sit low beneath clouds. Life moves slower here, shaped by rain rather than scarcity. To the west, the Zagros Mountains fold endlessly across the horizon. Valleys hide villages that feel timeless. Stone, wind, and grazing land dictate rhythm. These mountains have sheltered cultures for centuries, places difficult to conquer, easy to disappear into. And in the south, heat returns once more. The Persian Gulf reflects harsh light. Ports breathe quietly. The sea carries stories of trade, empire, and exchange that once connected Iran to Africa, India, and beyond. Here the land meets water without ceremony. Practical, enduring, unsentimental. Iran does not offer one identity through its geography. It offers many. As the journey moves forward, the story shifts again. From memory to movement. From echoes to everyday life. Because Iran is not frozen in history. It is alive. Modern Iran moves in layers. From a distance, cities appear dense and restless. Traffic threading through wide avenues, apartment blocks climbing toward the mountains. But step closer, and a different rhythm emerges. In Tehran, life accelerates and pauses at the same time. Cafes fill with quiet conversations. Young artists sketch, write, record, and edit, often out of view, often for each other. Creativity doesn't disappear here, it adapts. Humor is sharp, hospitality is immediate, conversation is layered. Behind closed doors, warmth replaces formality. Tea is poured. Stories unfold. Laughter arrives quickly, sometimes as relief, sometimes as resistance, sometimes simply as habit. Tradition remains visible in rituals, in respect for elders, in the cadence of speech. Change arrives through technology, art, and global connection, filtered, questioned, reshaped. Cities outside the capital feel different. In Isfahan, history and daily life coexist openly. Bridges fill with evening walkers, squares echo with footsteps and voices. Beauty here is not preserved behind glass. It is used. In Shiraz, poetry still breathes in public spaces. Gardens soften the air. Time feels slower, gentler. People speak of words and seasons with equal seriousness. Across the country, life continues not because it is easy, but because it must. What often surprises visitors most is not hardship, but normalcy. People fall in love, argue, dream, plan. The difference is not desire, it's context. And in that context, resilience becomes invisible, ordinary, expected. If journeys like this matter to you, places that deserve patience rather than judgment, Atlas Reverie is where we continue. More hidden worlds, more cultures beyond the headlines, more stories worth listening to slowly. Iran does not ask to be defended, it asks to be understood. And understanding in a world this loud is a radical act. When the noise fades, what remains is not an image, but a question. What else do we think we know, only because we've never truly listened?